I don't need to spend it. Okay. Let's see. I suppose we just go hang out with Dea now. Sumeru.
Hey, Dea, you're back. Are these two friends of yours?
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. There's no need to be so formal with us. We're a pretty casual crew. Anyway, since we've got a newcomer, let me fill you in on what the Khan al-Ahmar's been up to lately. They've become extremely aggressive. Apparently, even their own now have become acceptable targets. They even attack other relics brigades, just the same as any other mercenary brigade.
Even the most ferocious beasts still protect their own. It sounds like they've thrown that straight to the wind.
That's right. Once they've collected enough loot off the other mercenaries, they sell it off to a different brigade, or turn to merchants on the black market. A portion of their profits is immediately exchanged for more food and weaponry to be used in their next violent operation.
That's terrible!
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder why they're so desperate for Mora. A few days ago, Isham and I trailed them for a while, and even disguised ourselves as merchants to conduct trade with them. We were able to learn a few things from the exchange. Rather than saying they're out to plunder and hoard Mora, it'd probably be more accurate to say that they're experiencing an internal power struggle.
Oh, great.
Wait, a power struggle?
You heard me right. The vast majority of their victims are mercenaries from the other brigades of Deshret's relics. If their only goal was Mora, they could have gone after anybody. The targeted nature of their attacks points to a power struggle between the different brigades within the relics. That's the only plausible explanation we have. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find out anything more specific. It seems they're also trying to keep things under wraps.
Ah, lovely.
Oh, one last thing we discovered was that over the past few years, as the Khan al-Ahmar became more and more active, Deshret's relics as a whole became a lot weaker.
They were able to cause so much damage? That they were able to cause so much damage it somehow makes things even more confusing.
It sounds mighty strange to me too. Harun, you can leave the rest of the investigation to us. Gotta say though, I didn't expect you to go on a whole undercover mission during the few days I was gone. Sounds like you were really putting your necks on the line, no?
Nah, it was nothing. We're just as concerned about the situation as you are. The Khan al-Ahmar is your father's crew after all.
What he said. Besides, Dea, haven't you done more dangerous things than all of us combined? What we did is nothing compared to your experiences.
Yeah. And while they went to talk with Khan al-Ahmar, I took a look at the last camp they attacked. Any survivors of the attack were already long gone. There was nothing of value left in the camp.
Ah, Hisham and Khalaf. You're here too.
We rushed over as soon as we saw you come into Caravan.
I love how they just point out their names.
This friend of yours looks a little green behind the ears. I'm sensing a special vibe from him.
Oh, gee, thanks. Not sure if I should take that
Now
as a compliment or an insult.
Partner with you, we can also rest easy.
Hey, what about Paimon? Feel anything special?
Oh,
Hey?
You're also planning to tag along with them?
Please no.
Of course! Paimon is the traveler's most important guide. Wherever he goes, Paimon will follow.
You know that quest that we just did? Yeah, you know the one that Paimon wasn't a part of it at all and it was amazing? Can we have a repeat of that?
Oh, in that case, then you'd better take care of her too, Dea.
Don't underestimate Paimon!
Paimon is
Don't
as
worry
useful
about
as a
her.
loaf of
She may
bread.
look tiny and helpless, but she's been through just as many battles as the Traveler here.
Yeah, hiding behind said traveler.
Even if she had only survived on sheer luck, then that alone would still make her quite formidable.
I had no idea. I guess I shouldn't judge by appearances.
Oh, one other thing, Dia. When you're free, why don't you update the deputy about your upcoming schedule? We held another recruitment event a few days ago, but everyone only came to see the Flame Main. You weren't around at the time, so people were pretty disappointed to only find our crew of rough, unkempt guys. The deputy put a lot of effort into
You're
it, but it was
unkempt?
basically for nothing. Only a few people chose to stay, and that really got to him.
You're unkempt?
Sorry to hear that. I'll be sure to bring him some great liquor next time. I left in a hurry and I couldn't make it back in time for the event.
Gotta admit, I can understand their disappointment, though. You're our brigade's main selling point, after all. Now, if only the deputy could figure out a way to bring a few more smoking hot members into our ranks.
Oh my gosh.
Keep dreaming. Remember the last time I invited a couple gals into the brigade? You all just froze up with your mouths gaping like a bunch of scarecrows.
Oh my
The awkward
goodness.
silence and weird expressions left quite the impression on them. They were originally interested in joining us, but after that, they both told me they were too uncomfortable to stick around.
Hey, didn't we agree to never bring that up again?
Huh? Wait, are you serious? Why have I never heard about this?
I don't think you were part of the brigade yet.
Are you kidding me? I missed a once-in-a-lifetime moment like that, and you weren't even gonna tell me?
All right. We can tell you about it later. Now's not the time.
Hey, don't you try to change the subject. You and Hisham get your butts over here and tell me everything right now.
Are they always like this?
More or less. There aren't many rules or graces when it comes to mercenaries. We're used to just speaking our minds. If someone starts getting under your skin, you just yell right back at them. And if that doesn't put an end to it, then you just challenge them to a fight. But we also don't tend to take many things too seriously. Being direct and getting it all out of your system as soon as things come up is better than keeping everything bottled up, never talking about it. That's also why I never spare their feelings when I talk to them. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. If I'm angry, then I'll unload on them. It's hard to stop once you get used to
Same,
it. Though
travelers,
I can never do that
same.
when I'm with the Homayanis. Hey, knuckleheads, can you at least tell me the rest of the intel before you go back to your bickering?
Yeah, you hear her, Holof? Told you we gotta focus on the investigation first. I drew up a map. Right here's the spot. There you'll find the merchant caravan responsible for getting rid of Dakan al-Akhmar's looted goods. All you gotta do is wait and ambush them in the evening. They'll have no idea what hit them.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Be sure to pass my regards
Angel
to
Dust,
everyone
how you
else in the
doing?
brigade as well.
Will do. You stay safe, Dia.
Welcome to the Stripstram. Okay, where are we going? Over there now. Thinking about
It should
giving
be the
Honkai
place.
Star Rail a
Let's
try?
find a spot to
I'm gonna
hide and bide
wait,
our
is it
time.
out? Is it out?
It's gonna come down to a fight one way or another, so let's all be careful.
No need to worry. He knows his way around a fight.
Uh-huh. In other
I'm
words,
not
Steelix
worried
gonna
about
do all the
that.
work.
What I meant is that we probably shouldn't go too hard on the enemy. After all, we still need to get information out of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm definitely going to be trying out when it comes out, because I like turn-based RPGs, but...
Ah, here they come. You ready? Let's not give them a chance to react and end this quickly.
Body and mind. Adventure time. Everybody stand! No, my sword! Let me weave you.
Let's play. Think you can get away?
Let's get it on!
She did one thing.
You're the Flame Bane.
Good. That saves me an introduction.
Bailu
Alright,
does look cute,
time
yeah.
for a little talk.
I'm worried that
Are you
she'll have the
buddies
same
with
treatment as
Lockmar now?
Chi-Chi,
Tell
though.
me, what are they after?
Because a healer for the sake of healer in games is never good.
You know the code of being a mercenary just like everyone else.
But we'll see.
First
The game
rule is
might be
to
different.
Never divulge key information about our employer. What makes you think I'd talk?
That might have worked on an amateur, but I know you're just looking to protect your reputation. Think about it, though. What's your reputation worth if you won't have the other tools you need to succeed in this line of work? Tools like, I don't know, your limbs or eyes? You've got 5 seconds. You might want to think twice about how much your employer's information is worth to you.
How is she not a DPS?
Whoa!
It's alright, Paimon. She knows what she's doing.
I'm not joking around. We can do this the easy way or the painful way. 2 seconds.
I'll save you the trouble.
Huh? Are you crazy? He tried to bite off his own tongue. Quick, search the area for any first aid supplies.
Wow. That is dark for
Definitely
Genshin.
didn't expect him to go that far. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too deep, and he just passed out from the pain.
Oh, great.
Why would he be so extreme?
I just wanted to test his mettle. You can get a lot of mercenaries to talk just by threatening them. I didn't expect him to be willing to go through so much pain just to deny us some intel.
Well, he's out cold for now. We could wait for him to wake up, but maybe it's not a good idea to interrogate him any further. What should we do?
Turn-based RPGs are usually team-based. I mean, RPGs in general are usually team-based. But no, it's not like Persona 5. If anything, it's more like Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be a waste of time to interrogate him again after that. He might just hurt himself again if we start asking. There are lots of goods around here. Let's search the area. Maybe we'll be able to find something. I'm really sorry.
I was not expecting that dark shift. What, do you like turn-based RPGs? Mom, how you doing?
With a bunch of names on it. Maybe it's a record of something.
Let me take a look. If this really is a merchant caravan, they should have a record of their transactions. Yep. I see an entry for Dakana Lockmar right here. Kusela, Idrisi, Bashar, and Takriti. All familiar names. Dakana Lockmar has been trading for a hefty supply of food, weapons, and medicine. It seems that in the past, they used to receive some canned knowledge as well. This caravan is just one link in their logistics chain. Once in the rainforest, the caravan will exchange the looted goods for Mora, and the funds will then be passed to a
I'm super
specific
sad
person.
about her, but yeah.
That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary goods, which will then be brought right back to Dakana Lockmar.
Like, do you know how cool it would have been if she was a Burgeon DPS? That basically she functioned a similar role to Nilou. That would be so fitting if she was like Nilou, but Burgeon base. Like, she increased the damage dealt to Burgeons, and whenever she receives damage from a Burgeon, she heals, and she scales on an elemental mastery as well instead of HP. That would have been so freaking cool. Like, then you could argue that her multipliers being bad made sense, because she just basically can tank Burgeon hits. And the idea is to make a whole bunch of Burgeons explode and she just tank the damage. Which, okay. Idea. Okay. So basically, her gimmick is when she uses her burst, when she deals damage, when she uses her skill, she gains Pyro Infusion. And whenever she hits a Burgeon, she gains an attack percent for a specified amount of time. when she makes a Burgeon reaction, the next Burgeon reaction will have a % increase based on her elemental mastery. So basically, as she does more reactions, the reaction would basically explode and deal more and more damage. And then when she does her burst, she basically gains a percentage of her elemental mastery as attack % during her burst. That would have been so freaking cool. Why? Sorry, I'm still coping with Dea.
Wait, why is there no Mora value recorded for the final transaction?
I so wanted her to be good.
No value?
Sir, what?
Yeah, every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of Mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, was simply marked as delivered.
Because she's a part of the Archon Salvation Squad. Sino, Al-Haytham, and her are the 3 main characters of this arc. And for her to have been... We don't talk about how bad Dea got shafted because it's painful.
Perhaps.
I didn't read that.
But
I was so
they
focused on the
couldn't have
chat.
known
I'm sorry.
How much they would make off selling the loot. Do they not care about profit margins at all? Anyway, the next part's the records of the goods themselves. There are a lot of entries. Everything was probably sourced from the rainforest.
Who's Hydro Mommy?
Huh?
What's wrong?
Shazamon Homayani?
Homayani? You mean Dunyarzad's family?
Oh, Yelan.
Could it just be another family with the same last name?
I'd be surprised to find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shazamon Homayani is Dunyarzad's father, and the head of the Homayani family.
Because we're about to enter Fontaine, and the Hydra Archon is coming out, and I was like...
Just what the heck is going on here?
Calm down, Dea. Let's analyze the situation first.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'll consider what we found and not jump to conclusions just yet. But what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakana Lakmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been trading with Dakan Akhmar?
That's a possibility, but if that was the case, why is this caravan specifically named Shazamon as their person of contact? They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Rebot or Port Ormos.
If Shazamon was actually aware of this, then perhaps he's been supplying the brigade's operations this entire time. Okay. If Shazamon was actually aware of this, then perhaps he's been supplying the brigade's operations this entire time.
Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of the loot.
But why would he do something like this? It's not like the Homayanis are in need of money.
I honestly have no idea.
Okay. Hear me out here. Theoretical potential Dea kit, right? Okay? Okay. So, when her elemental skill is active, she gains Pyro Infusion. This cannot be overwritten. Whenever Dea, while the infusion is active, takes damage from a Burgeon reaction, the next Burgeon reaction will deal % damage increase based on her elemental mastery from the last, plus the damage dealt from the original. Then, when she uses her elemental burst, and she heals a portion of the like 50% of the damage she took from the Burgeon damage, if she is not protected by shield. Then, when her elemental burst is active, if it was activated while she was on the field, all damage she took from Burgeon reactions is added to her attack % during the duration of the during the duration of the burst. How cool would that have been? how freaking cool would that have been? I know it's a complete kit redesign. But man, that would have been so fun to play. And even if you don't want to redesign her kit, okay. While Day is just make her a berserker so that the damage she took is added to her burst during the burst animation.
I've been to their estate many times, and I've never noticed anything suspicious. The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. Maybe they borrowed a lot of Mora in the past? But that's still just a speculation. I don't think the Master would stoop so low to make Mora.
I don't think Dunyarzad knows anything about this either.
You're probably right. I know my lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately keep something like this from us.
Mommy Miko? Who's Mommy Yai Miko? Are you talking about now? No. You could... Yai Miko, Kokomi, Nahida, would it work? Could you do it? Yes. Would it be good? No.
But what should we do now? All we found is just another mystery.
If you want to get to the bottom of this, we won't be able to turn back.
If you ask me, we already have no choice but to confront her about this. I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. I still have faith in the Homayanis. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her everything and see if she's willing to lend us her support. If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the mystery of this paper, but also follow the trail of breadcrumbs to the people responsible at Dakan al-Akmar.
I'll get to you in a second and explain why it wouldn't work.
This is the best decision. What if instead of getting the help we need, we just end up revealing everything we've discovered to the enemy?
I've considered that possibility, but even still, I want to tell her what we found. I think I owe her that much. True friendship is built on trust. She showed genuine concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't repay her kindness with doubt and suspicion. That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust Dunyarzad too.
I hope we'll be able to help her.
Yeah. Let's pay another visit to Sumeru City.
Okay, so Electro and Pyro creates the overload reaction, and let's actually go into here. Okay, you didn't see that. Okay, overloaded. When Pyro meets Electro, overloaded occurs. The resulting explosion deals AoE Pyro damage and tears effortlessly through the sturdy objects. Does it not show that? Wait, does it not say it? It doesn't say it. Overload knocks targets away. So, Genshin, when you're fighting a lot of little enemies, you in general want everything to be in a really tight space so that reactions can spread and do more damage to more enemies within a small area. Overload will knock smaller enemies away and keep them out of range, so you have to chase them down to continue comboing them and dealing damage and such like that. So it is arguably one of the worst reactions. It does a lot of damage, but it makes things harder to deal with than it does. It's fine against bosses, but it's not necessarily great against smaller targets, because large targets can't be knocked away. That said, there's really no synergy there with Yaimiko, Kokomi, or Nahida and Dea. Each one is kind of doing their own thing, which is kind of the opposite of what you want party compositions to do. You want... Think of it like a... Mob, you play trading card games, right? Out of curiosity, you play trading card games. So, think of party building in Genshin as there is a set goal and everyone needs to work together in order to actually meet said goal. So in this case, what is way more than I should to develop my gambling additions? Okay, so think of it like a deck of cards. You have a set strategy for your deck, and every piece in the deck is there to help meet that strategy or meet a goal. So for example, what is Diluc? Okay, he is a pyro DPS. What is his means? How will he make it so that his damage? He is a lead pyro main DPS. How do we make it so that his damage is the highest it can possibly be? Well, if we miss in Vape, we can because of how often he can use his elemental skill, which is 3 times in a row, and due to the fact that if we look at his multipliers here, they are relatively high. We can basically do some Vape reactions, especially when we infuse with his burst. So now how do we do that? Okay, so Xingqiu develops, shoots out 3 or 4 rain swords every single time you do a normal attack. That will apply Hydro. Diluc, ideally, between his rotations, does a normal attack every single time, so that synergizes. Okay, so you're basically able to apply Hydro, attack, Vape, apply Hydro, Vape, apply Hydro, Vape. And that is really good. Okay, so now let's see, how do we further increase that damage? Well, Bennett is a pyro character, which creates pyro resonance, which increases our damage output. He also has a heal, which helps keep us alive, and he has a attack buff, which will increase my attack power, which will cause the Vapes to do even more damage. Okay, can we further increase that? We have 1 more party slot. Animo, we can swirl the Hydro or the Pyro to increase the damage that either of them does due to Viridess and Venrir. Additionally, we can group and mob things into a general area so we don't have to chase things down with either Venti or Kazuha. And we can just have Diluc doing damage without having to chase and wander things around. This is the type of mentality that you're going to do. What's the goal? Who's helping, and how are they all working together to meet the same goal? Even Ayaka, the entire idea is to keep enemies frozen. So how do we keep enemies frozen? We need a consistent Hydra application. We need another Cryo character to help keep things frozen from off-field. And potentially an animal character to group everything into one location so that we don't have to jog around the field. That's basically the idea of team compositions in Genshin and team building 101. How does each character contribute to an overall goal that you are trying to achieve? And if the answer is they don't, or there is another option, they don't, then usually they're bad. That's why Dea, that team that you suggested, Mob, really doesn't work, because none of them really are working towards a specific goal in mind. They're all kind of just there to be there, which you can do in this game, in the overworld. That's totally fine. And if that's what you want to do, then it will work in the overworld setting. But in the hardest content in the game, in the arguably end game, it won't really get you that far unless you have super high investment, because it's all about team compositions and team building. That's the end game of Genshin, is basically trying to min-max each character and their parties, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Please say that makes sense. Please say I didn't ramble on. Please say that made sense. Okay, so if that's the case, who among you actually have some characters that can work together in that team? Dea, if you remove Dea and have Yaimiko, Kokomi, Nahida, you can potentially get something working. Then you can either toss in another Hydra character from another Electro character for more energy generation, i.e. Raiden or somebody else, Or you could put in another Dendro character for more elemental mastery and more cores, so to speak. Oh, you zoned out. Got it.
Adventure time.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. Hi, Dunyarzad.
We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run into any trouble then. Well, how did it go? What did you come up with?
Star, Nahida, and Yai are good together part of the time, meaning Sayu. What do you mean, Angel Dust?
Actually, we're still investigating. It's just that we've discovered something strange.
I see. The clues you found have led you back here, in the city?
Something like that. Yeah.
You all look a little dispirited. Whatever you found must not have been very encouraging after all.
But this is why I don't agree with people saying, oh, Genshin is all DPS check, it doesn't have any strategies. It has strategy, yes, but the strategy part comes in the team building. The strategy is done before you actually enter the Spiral Abyss or enter the game's combat content. You strategize to how the party will work and how the mechanics and gears work together, and then you test that strategy out against the content that the game pushes out to you. You don't strategize by reacting to what the enemies do or adapting to that. You strategize by how does this team work, and what do I want to accomplish with this team, and how do I make it work? That's the strategy. I fully admit Sayu does nothing with a major property supporting. Sayu came out with some very interesting Dendro teams when the game first came out. Actually, Angel, Sayu can do some pretty cool Dendro teams, and I think not necessarily the best, but Sayu does have her use.
Why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe I'll be able to say something to cheer you up.
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that. How should I put this?
So something is wrong. Even the Traveler and Paimon have been uncharacteristically quiet.
Oh,
On
boy.
any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile and shouted, Dunyarzad, we're back! So tell me, what happened?
So, if you really want a fun team to work with Sayu, use Kaya, Xinyan, and... Kaya, Shanling, and Barbara, and watch it just be really funny. That is a really fun team. I don't know how good it is, but boy, is it funny.
Well?
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next. It concerns the Master.
So, all three of them have aura-based effects. So all of their attacks are swirling around Sayu. So basically you have Kaya's ice that is swirling around, Barbara's water that's swirling around, then you have Shangling's Pyronado swirling around, and then you have Sayu rolling like a ball all over the place while inflicting vaporize, melt, freeze, and swirl, and it's just really funny. It's really fun.
The Master? You mean my father? Okay, I understand. Don't worry about me. I'll listen as attentively as I can. My father has been supplying goods to Dakan al-Akmar?
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
That feels unlikely, though.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunyarzad?
Thank you for sharing all this information with me. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about some doubts that I've been harboring for quite a while. In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father go out of his way to hire Dia?
About that. Well, the Homiyanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his bodyguards. He offered me a pile of Mora, so I just signed on.
Well, but that didn't really answer my question. Just think about it. Why did my father specifically reach out to the Blazing Beasts?
Maybe the Corps of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I've never given it too much thought. I think I get what you're saying. You'd think none of this was a coincidence.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seems strange or out of place. But there are many parts of the story that don't actually make any sense.
Super sus.
If my father had always been in contact with Dakan al-Akmar,
Super sus.
then it would make sense for him to bring Dia into our house.
Super sus.
You mean the goal all along was to get Dia to be your bodyguard?
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has no control over my life anymore.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father has still been trying to influence your life without you knowing.
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim in all of this?
That's what things are looking like at this point.
Sorry we put all of this on you so suddenly, Dunyarzad.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be thanking you.
Oh? Why are we
Regardless
being
of
thanked?
his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent group of mercenaries, then it's my duty to bring him back to reason.
But is that really the right thing to do? My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to him. I have zero sympathy for him. You may call me an ungrateful child, but my feelings will remain the same. However, the Homiyani family has treated me with nothing but generosity and kindness. If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homiyani family. I would be biting the hand that's fed me over all these years.
Dia.
It's all right, Dia. If anyone were to ask, you could always just say that I'm the one who instructed you to get to the bottom of this.
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility.
Kaya is completely underrated.
Besides, you're the one we should all be worried about right now.
Hey, it's still too early to give up hope. What was that thing about friendship again?
True friendship is built on trust.
Right, yeah, trust. You said that yourself, Dia. Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed all the facts.
If your trust hasn't been misplaced, then he probably has many conflicting feelings as well.
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. I guess I should always remember the trust that I've placed in people. In which
Agreed.
case,
Hi, Axel.
my lady, could you ask the Master to come out and have a chat with us?
Sure thing. I also hope he'll be able to give us a logical explanation. Let's meet at the usual place then.
Usual place? Ah, right.
I was just talking earlier, like, about a potential cryo character, a cryo claymore, that is based on the shadow reaction. And probably people don't know that he even exists. Shatter? Wait, is it not even there? Oh no. Oh no, it doesn't exist. Why is it not even here? It doesn't exist in the tutorials. No, shatter, not superconduct. Shatter. Those are two different things. It's not even in the tutorial, which is really funny. So shatter is what happens when you hit a claymore with on a frozen target. Is it under frozen? Is it? I need to look at this. Nope. 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 It doesn't exist in here. So shatter is basically what happens when you hit a frozen target. It removes the frozen effect, the frozen effect, but does additional damage. Give me a second here. I'm gonna shatter Genshin. Okay, let's see here. This element, Frozen also has a follow-up elemental reaction that has a reaction Shatter to be formed with a Blunt or Geo attack. Shatter deals physical damage and removes the frozen aura. So it would be... It's specific to Claymore and Geo. So it's a very specific reaction.
Off we go.
So it would be really cool if there was a cryo character that says, when inflicting shadow damage, increase physical attack bad damage by X%. Like, that would be really cool. If they exist, that would be so freaking cool. And I would really like it because Shatter has been neglected since the beginning of this game.
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to him is his travel companion, Paimon.
Ah, yes. My daughter has mentioned them from time to time. It's a privilege to finally meet them.
No, she was not.
But
she's a physical
we may
character.
skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the important matter you wish to discuss with me today?
Well, we wanted
After this
to bring this
cutscene, I'll show the
transaction
actual
record to your
day,
attention.
Eula.
There's something on this record that we're all pretty curious about.
So, that's what you found. Huh. Seems like I can't keep everything from you much longer.
Oh?
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. What I do know, though, dear, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely cause you a great amount of anguish.
Wait, me?
Yes, I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price.
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes, as they say, ignorance is bliss. Your father, Kusela, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you. The facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I follow. I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have anything to do with him. I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning will change my stance on that.
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked by bandits. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dekan al-Ahmar. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dakan al-Ahmar go so far to save us and not spare the fellow Eremites? Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyazad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really? I
don't know.
never
I'll
knew.
check after this,
He
Angel.
said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was a devoted father. To repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time and offered everyone generous remuneration.
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself. He couldn't even walk anymore without his cane.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a fight. That was all. He then suddenly asked me if
That was all.
Dunyazad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyazad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts, and in particular, a mercenary named Dia.
So he was the one who recommended Dia to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dia could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dia as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took. Kusela saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so smart and self-righteous.
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dia's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always send me funds anyway. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received another letter from him a few years ago. The letter contained a request to help him buy food, weapons, medicine, and even explosive materials.
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dakan al-Ahmar started becoming more aggressive?
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. I wanted to meet him face to face to discuss things.
A lot of
then,
exhibition.
He was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dia at risk.
But by that same token, he should have also stopped asking for your materials.
That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food and medicine. I turned down all his requests for explosives and weaponry. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead to others coming to harm, but I could not simply reject his plea for help. In the end, it probably was the wrong decision. I plugged my ears to the rumors and just chose a solution that made me feel least guilty about myself.
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying to keep me from getting tangled up in his world. If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me into this world in the first place.
Wow.
Oh no. Dia, please don't feel that way.
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions.
Maybe there's another way of looking at all this. Can you try to believe in him? Just one more time?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think I can do it. But I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth yet. We still need to figure out his exact actions and reasoning for these last few years.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, anything between the two of you would need to be resolved between you and him alone. I don't know Kusela's exact whereabouts. Outside of supplying his brigade with some goods, I tried my best to avoid getting involved any further with him. However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He used to be a mercenary in the desert and is now a member of the Corps of 30. He's responsible for supplying weapons and liaising with the Dakan al-Akhmar's merchant caravan. I think he should know Kusela's whereabouts. I've heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy the cool wind at night outside the tavern. Maybe you'll be able to find him there.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Then I guess this is bye for now, unless...
I'll stay and be with my father here. To be honest, I'm still a little dazed and haven't finished processing everything quite yet. My father has indeed done something wrong, but if I think about it, I'm also not sure if there was a right way to handle this problem. I feel like our only course of action is to turn everything we know over to the Corps of 30 and let them render judgment.
Yes. I am prepared to accept whatever verdict they choose. It's time to face my mistakes.
Sag. Okay, so let's get Eula out for Axel really quick so he can see what she does. First off, love her design. Still do. Talents. Normal attack, performs 5 attacks. Pure attack percent scaling, no other additional scaling against them with her E and her burst. So her E, press, slashes swiftly, dealing cryo damage. When it hits an opponent, Eula gains a stack of Grimheart that can stack up to 2 times. These stacks can only be gained once every 0.3 seconds. Grimheart increases Eula's resistance to interruption and defense. The whole version, wielding her sword, Eula consumes all stacks of Grimheart and lashes forward, dealing AoE cryo damage to the opponent in front of her. If Grimheart stacks are consumed, the surrounding opponents will have their physical resistance and cryo resistance decrease. Each consumed stack of Grimheart will be converted into Ice Whirl Brand that deals cryo damage to nearby opponents. Okay, so physical / cryo. This is where the physical really comes into play. Is the Glacial Illumination, her burst. Brandishes a sword, dealing cryo damage to nearby opponents and creating a Lightfall sword. That follows around her for a duration of up to 7 seconds. While present, the Lightfall sword increases Eula's resistance to interruption. When Eula's own attack, normal attack, elemental skill, and elemental burst damage to opponents, they will charge Lightfall sword, which gain an energy stack once every 0.1 seconds. Once the duration ends, the Lightfall sword will descend and explode, violently dealing physical damage to nearby opponents. This damage scales to the number of energy stacks the Light Sword has accumulated. If Eula leaves the field, the Light Sword will explode immediately. So you're basically creating a combo counter. That the more times you hit the opponent, it basically builds on the sword, and the sword will descend, doing a lot of physical damage. She does probably the most physical damage. No, not even probably. She has the highest burst potential in the entire game. I am not even gonna. So the skill does 246% of her attack at base. Then the base by itself is 367%. Each stack added adds 75%. This goes up to a maximum of 30 stacks. So you are looking at 2,617% damage when she finally releases it. If you get the full number of stacks. So the problem is she's a Claymore character, so that's hard to do without attack speed multiplying. But the idea is you want to use an electro character for Superconduct to reduce the physical resistance. Then you want to use her, another cryo character to increase the crit rate to guarantee that it crits, and another flex slot usually. But you base, which is usually an Animo character to hold everything into one location or something like that. But she's a physical damage DPS. She's just raw numbers. Even her talents, I believe. Yeah, if 2 stacks of Grimheart are consumed upon unleashing the holding mode of Ice Heart Vortex, a shattering light sword scroll will be created and will explode immediately, dealing 50% of the basic physical damage dealt by Lightful Sword increases by glacial illumination. Yeah, she's just there to do a lot of physical damage really quickly. But it seems like Hoyo really doesn't want to do physical damage. They want to focus in on the elemental reactions, and I don't know. But yeah, no, she's not a shatter DPS. She is definitely not a shatter DPS. There's nothing in her kit that does shatter. Stop it! Oh, I can't talk to them. Okay. We don't have a shatter DPS in the game at all. At night. Okay. Okay. So it's a nighttime only thing. Oh, that's what I was looking for.
Who are you guys?
I know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for the Corps? Pretty bold, if you ask me.
Shh. Keep your voice down. How do you know all that? Come with me. We should take this elsewhere. I'll be happy to talk things over once we're somewhere private.
This is gonna turn into a fight.
This place should do. All right. Back to my question. How did you all know about me?
Don't worry about that for now. You know what kind of punishment you'll face once we report you to the Corps, I assume.
Wait. There's no need to jump the gun. Let's talk this out. What are your terms?
Her burst doesn't proc shatter. I mean, that's by that logic, every Geo character is a shadow character. That's not what I'm talking about. And that's not what I mean by a shadow character. I'm talking about a character that gains damage bonus. Oh, congratulations, Angel. What billet did it get? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about basically a character that gets damage bonus for performing shatters. A shatter character. She is not a shatter character. She can perform the shatter reaction, but congrats, lucky you. She is not a shatter character. She is a physical damage character. Nilou is a bloom character, a character that focuses primarily and only on generating blooms and gets advantages for doing so. Diluc is a vape character. He gets advantages and such for his kit primarily doing vaporize. Dia is not a shatter character. I mean, Eula, sorry.
So what's in it for you anyway, Mora?
Well, I was a little tight on money at the time, and Kusela took good care of me in the past. I weighed it in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down. I wouldn't only be helping my benefactor, but I could also make some quick Mora.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating Dakan al-Akmar, and we're gonna put an end to their operations. If you provide some help for us, then we might just put in a good word later to reduce the terms of your punishment.
Because the problem is, and the difference between a shatter character and a just physical damage is, you cannot run an electro unit in a shadow team comp, because shatter will actually electro will actually remove the freeze, I believe, and just create superconduct. I need to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it removes the freeze effect. I need to go do some testing on that actually later.
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen, I made quite a bit of more from my last run. You just give me a number, and I'm sure we can...
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when a mercenary is after something other than money.
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words for me later. They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were at the last time I made my delivery to the desert. Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling you though, it's not on me if they're not there anymore.
I was wondering about that. The superconduct removes the shatter effect. Eula's best team always includes a electro unit, just so that she can boost her physical damage. So doing a shatter team comp is actually less efficient, because what you want is basically a normal freeze comp, but with a claymore as the main DPS to just do more damage through hitting them with your claymore. That is different than just using superconduct to increase your physical damage. You're not focused on freezing enemies. You're not focused on holding them in place. You're just focused on boosting your physical damage. It's different.
Sure. And then you can forget about any nice words from us.
Hey, come on. Now you're just being unreasonable.
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a trap? Don't forget, you're the one with no bargaining chips.
All right, I get it. Why don't you go take a look, and if they're not there anymore, I'll try to figure out something else for y'all.
Uh-huh. Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you, try to stick around the city until we get back. You don't want us to call the folks from the Corps and have them drag you back to the city.
Like, ideally, if there was a shatter DPS, you would run basically the same as a freeze, except the main DPS would have a claymore instead of focusing on keeping the target frozen like Ayaka does. The focus would be to freeze them in place just so that you could remove the frozen effect. Actually, I'm gonna test that out right now, because I'm pretty sure that is the main reason you don't run freeze and Ayaka. It's too kooky.
Don't tell me they did it again.
Let's find an enemy here real quick. I want to find something that I can just hit. It needs to be able to be frozen too. So maybe, problem about being so strong. Outside of town, right? Yeah, there's some aeromites outside of town. Okay, that's not outside of town. We're gonna go over here. No Eremites, but there are Halotrolls. We'll use those. Yes, but they don't get advantages for it. And Chung Yun actually infuses his attacks with cryo. So he doesn't gain the physical damage bonus.
Okay.
So now we're gonna freeze. Not what I wanted. Bloom got in the way. Okay. Okay, we're going somewhere where Bloom can't happen now.